Hi, welcome to The Making in Madrid, a podcast about life in Madrid, presented by me, Felicity Hughes. I'm a tour guide and writer based in the city, and you may have seen my work in Lonely Planet or the Financial Times, or indeed The Guardian. This one is about Usera. So it's a series about the barrio that I live in. And it's going to be, I'm going to carry on doing episodes about different barrios, but I'm starting with Usera because I love it and I know it really, really well. And when I started planning this, there was so much to say that I realized I just had to split it up into 3 parts. So now we're into the third part. So what's this third part about? Well, we've covered history in the first part, and in the second part, we've covered things to do in Usera. And the third part is going to be about food. So what restaurants should you go into? So I set the scene really well already because I've told you that Usera is full of people from different parts of the world, most particularly from China. I have to look up the name of the city. So a city in Wenzhou province called Qingqiang. Around 8 out of 10 Chinese in Spain are from Qingqiang. And it's also full of people from South America. And in the case of Usera, most particularly the Bolivian community. So you'll see ladies wearing those bowler hats, and the Colombian community. And they've got really strong roots here. Ecuadorian as well. But yeah, there's a sort of majority around the area. So you've got lots of food. Oh, and I shouldn't forget the Romanians and the Spaniards, of course. So lots and lots of foodie options. I love eating out in the area. I mentioned before that this is one of the cheapest places you can come to eat in the city, but cheap and fantastic. So I generally end up paying, depending where I'm going, 10 to 15 euros on food, can be even cheaper sometimes. And this is a huge contrast to how much I'll pay in central Madrid, which is usually like 15 to 20. This is because of inflation, of course. But yeah, it's, come and eat well in Usera. I really urge you. It's fantastic, especially if you like Chinese food. So we're gonna start off. Like, what have I got here? So we're gonna begin with bakeries. And one of my favorite bakeries near here is a Romanian bakery called Magazin Cofetărie Patisserie. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. They're up at the top of Dolores Branco down a little side street near Wenzhou supermarkets that I mentioned in the last episode. And they do lovely plaited bread, beautiful cakes. They also do a great vegan pate that's a mushroom pate. Absolutely love it. Delicious. Great mustard that's very mild. That's a good one. I really like that place. South American bakery with a great tres leches cake. This is one of Sergio's favorites. Is San Francisco de Quito, which is on Calle Antonio Salvador, number 68. Also do amazing meringues. Yeah, brilliant. If you like South American cakes, which tres leches is one of the classics, they do brilliant ones. So pop in there. So one of the signs of gentrification is just across the road from me is a bakery called Colette that is very what we might call moderna. And they do beautiful bizcochos, which is sponge cakes, all kinds of seasonal cakes. They'll do your roscones de reyes, which is a traditional treat for Christmas time. And lovely little terrace seating outside. Very friendly couple runs it. I do like it, but yes, it's where all the people from what I call Pijo Usera, which is the people who live in these gated communities closer to the river, all tend to flock towards. So it's a different side of Usera, but it's a great little bakery. Moving on what we're going to do next is talk about cafes. So I suppose we'll talk about that one, which I didn't even mention its name because it also falls under the criteria of cafe. And they're called Colette Bakery near Almendrales. The other one that I've heard about recently, and I thought I ought to give a shout out to because a friend of mine went there, and I'm afraid I can't vouch for it personally, but my friend has recently been to an Argentinian place by the river called Pava Cafeteria. And she says it's fantastic because it's the first place that's one for like real coffee heads, you know, people who like proper cup of coffee that's, you know, brewed from amazing beans. People tend to complain a lot about coffee here in Spain. And unfortunately, I'm not one to talk about specialist coffee because for my sins, I love torrefacto, which is what most Spanish people drink. It's a kind of coffee that is sort of roasted with sugar, and a lot of people really hate it. A lot of foreigners coming to live in Madrid bitch about torrefacto, and they much prefer going to places like Pava. So yeah, if you hate torrefacto, go to Pava Cafeteria. You'll find quite a lot of sort of tea shops, funky little tea shops in Chinatown. So we're quite well served for cafes. But let's move on to restaurants. So we're first going to talk about the South American restaurants. I've got a couple of recommendations for you. One is just down the road from me, and I love it. It's called Fanáticos de Sabor. I also like it because they've got a nice terraza. And they're run by Ecuadorians, and they just do a lunch that is incredible value. It's under 10 euros, and it's a gut buster. You will eat so much. But one of their best dishes is chaulafan. I think that also comes part of the lunch deal. But go anytime because it's not expensive, and they're really welcoming and friendly. And chaulafan is kind of a fried rice dish, very typical in South America, and you'll love it. Another one is pollos sucao al carbón. So this is charcoal roasted chicken that they do. They're really, really good at that, and really good at fries served with it, along with great empanadas. But we're now going to move on to Chinese food because I have to admit this is my favorite. I lived in Japan for 6 years. I love Asian food. I can't get enough of it. Noodles, rice, dumplings, my absolute favorite. So the new Chinese restaurant seems to open up every week in Usera, and another one closes down, unfortunately, because some of your very favorite ones close down. Like the Sichuan restaurant we used to have, Sabor Sichuan, which was right near Usera Metro, but is still open because it was such a success that they opened up a restaurant right near Gran Via. So you can still go to Sabor Sichuan, and it is phenomenal and still fairly reasonable, but not as cheap as they used to be. And they closed the one in Usera because I think it's going so well. The one in central Madrid, they got so much more custom that, they closed up here, sadly. But we do have great restaurants. So my absolute standard go-to is Hello Thai on Dolores Barranco. Hello Thai, brilliant for noodle soups, this amazing salad that they serve with tripe. Tripe is callos, by the way, very popular Madrileñan food. Callos a la madrileña, but this is callos a la chino, so it acts like a sponge with lovely sort of sweet and citric sauce with cucumbers, noodles, and lots of cilantro. Great salad. They also do the best empanadas. So empanadillas, the little dumplings. I love a dumpling, and they sort of big, fat, chunky. I would say they're similar to gyoza, but they're really Chinese dumplings. So they're juicy, lovely, with a lovely crispy bottom. And you don't always get that great crispy bottom, but Hello Thai know their stuff and they give you a crispy bottom. A new one that we've started going to, but it's become a firm favorite, is Bing Huo Bar. And they're on the same street, Antonio Salvador, as the South American baker I was telling you about. But Bing Huo Bar does bian bian noodles, which, if you don't know what that is, bian bian noodles are kind of hand-cut noodles. So they roll out the pastry to the noodles really flat and thin, and then they rip them apart rather than cutting them with a knife. And the beef bian bian noodles are incredible, and they give you like enormous quantities. It's just the very, very most famous one here is Lao Tu, because they recently got a review in El País, so queues are out the door. So do make a reservation in Lao Tu. Lao Tu is very well known for its famous fish head soup, but anything you order there is going to be stellar. I love the eggplant. Sorry, English people, I should say, aubergine. I've fallen into bad habits living outside the UK for so long. Or berenjena, as they call it here in Spain. Everything's slightly spicy, but I love that. It's a really good place. A lot of people think that the best Chinese restaurant in Usera is Royal Cantonese, but in fact, Lao Tu have taken that top spot from Royal Cantonese. And Royal Cantonese is a victim of its own success. So they also got spotted in El País, but many more years back, and named as the best Chinese restaurant in Usera. And they no longer hold that crown. They try to push out too many dishes. It's become very expensive. The food has never really impressed me that much, I have to say, in Royal Cantonese, so go to Lao Tu instead. And the new number one best Chinese restaurant in Usera that takes all the gold stars for me, but they're not strictly Chinese because they're a little bit fusion with Japanese food, is a place called Bambao. Now, Bambao does, so on the Japanese side, I'll give you two dishes to try. On the Japanese side, they do something called ebi fry, which ebi is prawn in Japanese. These giant big prawns on a skewer with batter and a crunchy batter on top. So good, the ebi fry. And also the lingote de oro, which is it is similar to Dongpo pork. I think they've adapted it slightly because they're very, very good chefs. This is like a slightly more expensive Chinese restaurant here, run by a young Chinese guy who's very friendly, very attentive, but pays attention to every single little detail. And, you can see that he's perfected these recipes. They look beautiful. They taste incredible. They're always booked out. There's always a queue out the door. So go to that place. But like Lao Tu, make a reservation in advance. And if you're here on Chinese New Year, forget about it because all the best restaurants are totally filled out. Moving on to the final topic is where to go for Spanish food. So one of the most iconic places to go for Spanish food in Usera, and also cheap and fun and cheerful, is the Museo del Jamón, which I live just down the road from. It is what it says on the tin, so it's full of, jamón hanging from the ceiling. Not a good place for vegetarians. Lots of very traditional sort of Spanish dishes, so fried morcilla, chips and egg. Really your standard calamares, your standard Spanish fare, very greasy, deep fried. Good place to go on a hangover. Museo del Jamón, full of, real traditional Madrid types. I like it. It's nice. But I would say a little bit of cut above them are two places that are run by the same family. So right by Usera Metro, you can find Taberna Andaluza Sacramonte. And a little way down the road, about, I guess, 7 minutes walk away, is Casa City. They both look beautiful inside because they're covered with these old tiles, that just these lovely kind of southern Spain designs that you might see in Granada. Really beautiful. And attention to detail with the food is absolutely fantastic. Now, Taberna Andalucia Sacramonte is a place to go if you want to try really fine quality wine with really interesting tapas. So there's slight difference in what they offer. And Casa City is more traditional for a sit-down meal, and Sacramonte is where you stand up at the bar. It's very social. You might have a tiny seat, but you'll be talking to everyone. It's a fun place. But yeah, Casa City, you sit down. They've got a room out back that's sort of a little bit like an old people's club. Everyone plays dominoes and has a blast. They're lots of fun, very friendly. But yeah, different vibe in both of those places, but still outstanding quality, friendly, nice places to go. One new one for me is right by Usera Metro. It's Bar Manchego, and they do tortilla with interesting different fillings. And I'm not going to go in too much to this because I want to cover it elsewhere. But yeah, definitely new one, up and coming to look out for. And I went the other day and, oh my God, the best tortilla I've ever had. If you're going out for a nice, slightly posh Spanish meal, a really good option is Feto. So Feto, they have a couple in Usera. It's a local chain, but excellent quality. I guess these days you'd be paying about 13 euros for a menú del día, which is great value, great quality, good wine, good ambient. I can't fault them. For me, it's a little bit, your standard Spanish fare, nothing too exciting, but they do it well. It's a firm favorite with us. And just to wrap up, I'm going to tell you one place that you shouldn't go to in Usera, and that is a very controversial bar cafe called Uno Grande Libre. So it's infamous. It's even been featured in the New York Times. And the reason is that it's run by a Chinese guy who absolutely loves Franco. Now, he had I used to live around the corner from the original Uno Grande Libre, and not knowing anything, I used to go in, visit, and find that it was full of police taking a break. This is really worrying to me now. I know what this place is because the guy who runs it even called his son Franco. And when they shut down, they just moved to another location, which is near the big shopping mall, Madrid Rio Dos. I'm really sad to see that it's popular because it's really clear that it's a fascist bar. Now, it's not normal to do things like this, but there's an image of Franco, a large photograph blown up huge outside on top of on the glass window, and it's him in front of the Spanish flag. It's a really quite horrible, but Usera being Usera, of course, is full of political activists or whatever, so they get a graffiti bombed about every week by anti-fascists. And just avoid that place. I mean, there are so many other fantastic places to eat and drink in and have fun in Usera. So that brings this series maybe to a close. I might do a further one sometime in the future about accommodation. I'm not really sure because the whole gentrification thing is really quite a thorny topic. But we'll see. I mean, there are hotels to stay in Usera. So if you're interested in that, please do drop me a comment. I mean, it's a more reasonable place to stay in the city centre and well connected. So I do recommend it on that level. But please don't get an Airbnb, for the love of God. Anyway, To finish up, thank you so much for watching. I love talking about the area I live in because I love it. And I have to say, if you do enjoy watching The Making of Madrid, listening to The Making of Madrid, leave a review, leave a comment, subscribe, like, all that business, because I'm across so many different kind of mediums. But do go and visit my website, themakingofmadrid.com. There you can subscribe to my newsletter, get a free copy of Madrid Beyond the Guidebook that takes you to the places that didn't make the cut for Lonely Planet purely for geographical reasons, but are well worth visiting in Madrid. And you can also support me by buying a copy of Quiet Madrid, which is a guide to hidden spaces and tranquil places in the city for people who want to take a little bit of a breather and see another quieter side of Madrid. You can also hire me as a guide, or you can buy one of my audio tours from Voicema. Anyway, that's about it from me for today. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.